Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we are going to have a look at day 2 of Goodwood. We've also got a Galway plate selection that I'm quite keen on. Premium members, I've mentioned most of these. There's just the one race. I also have a selection in the 410 that you won't know about, but the rest of them I've already told you all about. So we'll start off with the 150 race, the Coral Handicap, over just short of a mile and 4. And the horse I really like here is Westerton. So Westerton have been slowly improving. You can see the R figures because this is the first race of the day. All first races of the day are available for everybody, and then the rest of them are for premium and pro members. But yeah, I like Westerton. I thought he was improving for Alan King, going the right way. He ran a good race at Sandown when beating Middle Earth, who has since come out and won a novice race. So I think the form was quite good there for Westerton. Westerton then, last time out, finished third in the 1 mile 2 handicap that we had the lovely winner, Killybegs Warrior. Now, Killybegs Warrior I felt was well handicapped, and I actually felt Obelix, how do you say that? Obelix was as well. He just needed to bounce back to his best. And I think he did over the far side. Westerton has run a really good race under Ryan Moore, for third, pushed along, ran on strongly over a mile and 2. The fact that he started over 7, he came back over a mile and 2, I think that demonstrates that he will get further, and the connections clearly think he wants further. And I think this 1 mile 4 trip will bring out a bit more improvement in him. And with that in mind, and with Ryan Moore booked to ride, I think it's a good jockey booking. Obviously, Ryan does ride this well. He is riding, he's in great form. I think he will go very close here for Alan King, Westerton. And I kind of think, looking at the ratings, I was worried if Fox Journey, with his latest R figure, was going to get really well supported, then he would have been the one I was most concerned about. But the fact that Amuletto is the one that's being really well backed. Now, I understand why. He could be incredibly well handicapped, but he could also not be. I mean, we didn't give him the biggest R figure last time out when winning at Chester. It could be that, they really like him and he could go and win quite comfortably. But this is his first time into a handicap. The handicapper, has he got him right on 89? Has he got him wrong? It's a bit of a guessing game sort of thing, whereas at least with Westerton, I kind of think he ran well off 92. He's running off 93. The step up in trip should suit. I think he can run to 95, 96 here. And is that going to be good enough to win? Possibly, for sure. I think he will run a really big race under Ryan Moore. He'll be weighted without the back, I imagine, and finishing strongly down the middle of the track. Moving on to the 410, this is the only selection that premium and pro members don't know about, and it's the obvious one here, to be honest. It's Tropical Island. Now, I'm going to give a little bit away. On our ratings, the R figure achieved by Tropical Island on debut is nearly as good as those that have had more runs. With normal improvement for that debut effort, Tropical Island should be good enough to win this. She also would follow in the footsteps of last year's winner for Richard Fahey and Oisin Orr, so they know what it takes to win this race. And yeah, I thought her effort when beating Mutasawi was very good. She did go off the 7-4 favourite, despite some of the others having some form, including Mutasawi, which generally means they know that they've got quite a nice horse. I think she's been weighted with for this race, although it was only 11 days. I think this was we'll get her a run quick, a maiden event, and then turn up for this conditions race, because it's a conditions race, but it's worth 38 grand to the winner. And I think this is what they've targeted here, a bit of prize money, a nice bit of prize money early on in her career. And yeah, I think she is the one to beat. You can get 7-2 available. There is 4s at William Hill on Bet365, but that's not a price. I ignore Bet365 prices, and William Hill are the only ones saying 4s. So she is 7-2, and I fully expect her to take all of the beating here. With normal improvement, she should be too good for these. Moving on to the 5:20, the final race on the card at Goodwood. There are two here that I like. One of them is being well supported already. The first one is Roscollin, who, if Rarsell goes well in the first race at Goodwood, I imagine Roscollin could be even more well backed. Backed even more, because I just wonder whether the horse watchers had targeted this meeting. Roscollin should have or would have won at Beverley if he'd got a clear run last time out. He didn't get a clear run. Things went against him, but I think he's back down to a decent mark. He has got 2 wins to his name here. He's got a win, a second and a third to his name here. A second came in a Golden Mile, and a third was in a decent handicap of 101. I mean, he's only running off 87 here. This should be... If he gets a clear run, I think he wins this. And he's being backed accordingly. He's now 7-2 top price. If there's a horse that could... that is, in my opinion, still improving and still ahead of its mark. So there's... You can get the likes of Isla Kai, who is, well, handicapped, but has dropped in the handicap. Should have been running at Ripon. The horse who could still be progressing and going up the handicap is Classic for me. Now, Classic is going to have to be weighted without the back, having been drawn in 15. But ran a good race, I thought, here 3 runs ago, when 6th behind the 5 horses that I actually felt were the right horses there, with the top 5 on our ratings. Classic didn't get the clearest of runs that day. Things didn't quite work out. He then travelled really well at Sandown 2 runs ago. Didn't pick up. Finally, last time, he eventually got his act together and knew how to finish his race. And hopefully, now he knows what to do at the finish. I'm hoping that he can put that in again. If he does, I think he's the biggest danger to Roscollin. Classic, the unexposed Classic, who I do believe is better than a, 92 now? 91. I think he's better than a 91 horse. It's all about whether he wants to put that effort in at the finish. But if he does, I think he'll go really well and be the biggest danger to Roscollin. And the final race I want to talk about is the 640 at Galway. It's the Galway Plate. And yeah, I'm really keen on one here, to be honest. The 2 miles 6 and 111 yards, I think, is key here for our selection. And our selection is the Goffer, who is down here on our rating races, because obviously these are in alphabetical order. The Goffer. Why do I like the Goffer? Well, 3 runs ago, he actually ran at Cheltenham. Well, we'll go to 4 runs ago. 4 runs ago, he won a feature handicap over 2 mile 5. So a similar distance. And he won it quite comfortably in the end. He then went to Cheltenham and ran in the Ultima and was bang there until the last, half a furlong? And yet, if you look at the form, he was beaten by Corach Rambler, the subsequent Grand National winner, Fast or Slow, the subsequent Punchestown Gold Cup winner, and Monbeg Genius, who had come into the race off the back of 3 wins. 3 wins, looked very progressive and is still very progressive. That was a really good effort from the Goffer. They then tried stepping him up in trip for the Irish National. Considering he didn't stay the Ultima trip, I thought that was a strange decision, especially on the soft ground. And he did exactly what was expected, really. Travelled quite nicely for a long way and then faded quite quickly and pulled up. He then got back onto better going, slightly better going, good to soft, good in places at Sandown, and ran a really good race again in the Bet365 Gold Cup over 3.5, beaten by Kitty's Light, Morador and Revels Hill. Now, obviously, you know, we liked Kitty's Light that day and Revels Hill. They were our 2, and they finished 1st and 3rd. So I think the form was strong anyway. The Goffer travelled really well, didn't get home. Didn't get home again over that 3.5 mile trip. Back over 2 mile 6, I think he'll be travelling really well, coming into it nicely, and hopefully, because it's only 2 mile 6, I think he will finish his race off. And with that in mind, I thought he was a great price at 14-1. I think he is going to go really close here, and I think he's definitely ahead of his mark, which is now, what is he running off here? Where is he? He's running off 146 here. I think he's a better horse than a 146 horse. I think this trip is key. I think he doesn't quite get 3 mile. This is right at the edge of his stamina, in my opinion. And yet the fact that he's gone well in other races over a bit further probably means he might just have that little bit of needed stamina to guarantee himself getting home here. But yeah, he's my selection in the Galway Plate. So just a quick recap. In the 150 at Goodwood, I like Westerton under Ryan Moore. I think the trip will bring out a bit more improvement. In the 410, I like Tropical Island. I think with improvement, likely for her debut effort, she will take all of the beating here. In the 520, Ross Collin is the really well handicapped. If everyone ran to their best, he would win. If there's one that's still ahead of its mark and could now go on a little bit of a sequence, it's Classic. He's the biggest danger in my opinion at 12s. And in the Galway Plate, I am a big fan of the Goffer, who I think will get this trip, and that's what he's not been getting the trip recently in the Irish National and the Bet365 Gold Cup, but this trip suits him a lot more.